Oh, hey you. It's Kat and Steve with the Positively Midwest podcast.
Well, hello there. Now, before this next episode, let's talk about sharing our mission.
To help, we have hooked up with Anchor.fm to help us keep launching Positively Midwest to as many ears as possible. The more we expand our reach, the more lives we can help inspire.
If you haven't heard of Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Bonus, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Well, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, and many more.
You can make money with no minimum listenership, which helps our cause.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in just one place.
So go now, download free Anchor app or go to anchorapp.fm to get started.
Now, sit back and enjoy the next episode of the Positively Midwest podcast. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Positively Midwest podcast. My name is Steve Jerilynn, and across from me as always is my lovely wife, Catherine.
Oh, I feel like I'm going to have to introduce you in a better way sometime.
Why?
Because you're always so sweet about it.
Yeah, well, got a lot of making up to do, I suppose, huh? So, anyways, welcome to another episode. This is episode 77. I'm very excited for this episode because we've got a very special guest, and I've been very excited to do this one, and we've finally been able to hook up. And we have to say grace to our mutual friend, Kat Perkins, because she has helped put us together as well. But before I introduce this person, holy smokes, Toledo's Frijole. Let me read you this resume. And yes, she's probably giggling, and my wife may be, but I'm going to read through this thing. So, 8-time Emmy-nominated hairstylist, 2012, 2015, 2017 through 2020. Guild Award-winning hairstylist, The Voice 2014, 6 Guild Award nominations, The Voice, 2 Guild Award nominations, VMAs, 1 Guild nomination, Sprint Commercial, 1 Guild nomination, Lip Sync Battle Shorties, Local 706 hairstylist and journeyman extensions and color specialist, men's grooming and light makeup for women, television, legendary, HBO Max, Season 2, Department Head Stylist, The Voice Seasons 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, present. Seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Key Hairstylist. Seasons 1 and 2, Songland. Season 1 and 2, Shark Tank, May 2011 to present. Seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 to present. Lip Sync Battle, Disney's Fam Jam, Season 1, Shorty's Lip Sync Battles, Artie's Radio Disney Music Awards, iHeartRadio Awards, VMAs 2017, Celebrity Family Feud, So You Think You Can Dance, Next Generation, Big Morning Buzz Live, The Winner Is, The League, America's Next Top Model, The Bachelor, Bachelor Pad Finale, American Idol, So You Think You Can Dance, The Greg Bernhardt Show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, The Class, Skating with Celebrities, The Swan, Fox Satellite, Press Interviews, E! Entertainment, CNN, and some films, Protecting the King, Out of the Woods, Mystery Woman Snapshot, Mystery Woman Weekend, Fiedler's Choice, Home for Christmas.
Whoa.
So that resume explains our new friend, Jerilynn Stephens, who is a Hollywood hairstylist, self-image coach, author of the 5 F Words to Manifesting Your Life, and speaker. Hello and welcome to Positively Midwest.
I want to thank you for that. I've forgotten what I have worked on.
Oh.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, that was a long list.
That is quite the resume.
Yeah,
I generally am I'm the department head hairstylist for The Voice, Shark Tank. I've been on those shows for about 10 years. And then I just recently did Legendary on HBO Max, which was amazing and fun. But everything has led me, that whole resume has led me to where I'm at today. So thank you for the reminder.
Well, wow. I mean, talk about a gratitude moment, which is what I was kind of thinking of, but I thought it would be kind of funny to read through them all because, somebody's going to chuckle at it, but holy smokes, that is absolutely amazing. And so I'm glad we reminded you of how awesome you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm almost embarrassed. I'm like, I should probably dwindle down that resume.
No.
No, I'm just going to speculate. No one else in your life is probably going to read that out loud to anyone else. And so I hope I go down in history with that.
That is,
I think you will.
do not dwindle that down. Be proud of that and rock that all.
Thank you. Yes, I am very proud.
Good. So, Jerilynn Stephens, tell us who you are, what you're about. Tell us about how you got to the point to write a book and be such a straight up baller for all these TV shows and films.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm from Northern Michigan, actually, you guys, Traverse City. And so Midwest, I guess, I decided to move to Seattle, and I ended up going to beauty school. And then I visited a film set, and that's where I kind of discovered my dream, and ended up in LA finally in 2001, and broke into my career, through meeting just the right people. And then, as things, I'm trying to get to how did I write the book? And so it's like I'm trying to, so the book came about because my career was booming, and I was so grateful for everything that I had ever dreamed of doing was happening. And I wanted to share that with students and other hairstylists, like students, cosmetology students. So I started speaking at beauty schools and at hair shows to let people know, like, you can have this if this is what you want, or even if this isn't what you want, what do you want? Make people start really thinking about what it is that they really want in their life. And I had these, oh gosh, it's so funny that you bring this up, and Kat referred me to you. I was speaking with Kat, and she does public speaking as well. So I started talking to her. When you decide to do something, you want to start calling upon people who are already doing what you're doing or what you want to do. And so I called her about public speaking, and we talked about all of that. And then I told her, well, I just want people to know they can manifest their lives, and, there's specific steps. And she's like, well, what are the steps? And I'm like, well, figure out what you want, focus, take action, feel it existing, and faith that it's going to happen. And she's like, you just put an F in front of action, you have the 5 F words. And I was like, how did you even come up with that? Like, how did you see that? She's like, I don't know. I think it's because she's a songwriter. Yeah. And so I was like, the 5 F words, that is like, first of all, I don't know if I should say this, but the F word is actually one of my favorite words. And so the 5 F words were even more fabulous. And so I was like, what can go in front of action? And it's fearless, because fear is what holds us back. It tells us we're not good enough. It tells us we can't have that. And so that's how the 5 F words came about. So I was keynote speaking and talking about the 5 F words and the steps, and people started just asking me, like, do you have a book? Like, they were so inspired and just started asking me for a book. And in my book, I talk about, if you hear something 3 times, like, now it only takes me a couple times, but with that particular request of, do you have a book? It took me like 5 times, because that was so out of my wheelhouse. And I was like, fine, universe, I'm going to write a book. So, I then, that's kind of how that all came about with the book, and just feeling really, blessed and inspired to share my journey with people.
So I always think too that, sometimes it's easy for people to look at a situation or a person and think, wow, everything's just worked out for them. So, yeah, you went to school for that, and then you go to LA and everything's just, hunky dory. And of course you can find something to do there. And, so you tell everyone else what to do. But really, even you put it in your own bio, during particularly rough time. It says struggling with alcohol, you hit rock bottom and picked up a book that introduced you to the world of co-creating with the universe. Tell us a little bit about, that experience. And for me, a book, Manifest Now, is when I first come into fruition with manifestation, and that one completely changed my life too and set me on this track. But tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, that is, I'm glad you segued into that very well.
Thank you.
Yes, I hit a rock bottom. First of all, let's just say I struggled with alcohol since my first drink was at 13. And so I was in rehab at, 17, right after graduation. And I stayed sober for a couple years then. And then I moved to Seattle and bartending and whatnot. And it was just like game on with alcohol and bartending. And that's what my life was. And then when I moved, I honestly didn't even know how I was going to make it to LA on my own with the way I was drinking, but somehow I did. And it only took 1 year for me to hit that rock bottom. And in Los Angeles, after I moved here, hitting rock bottom, like literally on the floor, like I can't do this anymore. And I opened up the Yellow Pages, and back then, Yellow Pages,
Yep.
And I just looked up Alcoholics Anonymous, and I drove to their headquarters in LA. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. And so that was my rock bottom. And at that moment is when I sort of surrendered and just was like, I have no idea if there's a God. I don't know because wasn't growing up with any sort of spirituality. Mm-hmm. And after surrendering, it was like things just sort of started getting better. And I started meeting people who, didn't drink and who would help me along. And so somebody had suggested a book called Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And after the third time of hearing it that week, the third person, he was one of the hairstylists I was working with. And he's like, oh, I said, oh, that's the third time somebody's mentioned that book to me this week. He's like, that means you're supposed to read it. And I was like, really? He's like, yes. If you hear something close together, read it. So I ran down to Barnes and Noble and picked up that book, and that book changed my life. And it really was that book was more or less about the feeling part of having something exist in your life. And that really changed things for me. And I literally had my big break into Hollywood 2 months after reading that book and doing what I was told from that book. And then from there, it just evolved with my spirituality and manifestation and just like really believing in myself and believing that I deserve we all deserve everything that we want, Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how that came about.
Wow. So, is this a situation now, or like, are you still completely sober or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the deal. So I got sober when I was 33, and I had a total of 5 years and 10 months. And when you're sober, you count the months and the days, trust me. Mm-hmm. 5 years and 10 months. And in that, at year 4, I met my husband, we had a baby. And then I kind of was like, well, he met me as a sober woman, and that's who he fell in love with. And I kind of was like, cause he doesn't really drink that much. He doesn't like alcohol. So I was like, oh, he's the perfect guy for me. Right. And mm-hmm. Then when I started, I'm like, I think I was just going through a rough time. I think it was just a bad time, and he's like, well, I don't know, I guess, if you know where to go, if it doesn't work out. Right. So I dabbled, for a few years, back and forth of drinking, not drinking, because it really wasn't working out. but I wanted it to work out so bad. You know, I love alcohol. I love the buzz. I love everything about it except for the bad stuff, the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally my husband said, he's like, listen, this was not in the brochure when I married you, and this is not working out. So make a decision. And that was exactly what I needed from him to stop drinking again, because, you know, I was kind of like, I just needed somebody to tell me, him specifically, to be like, yeah, this isn't working out. Either stop drinking and get your life together again, or we're going to divorce. And it, you know, that's what I need. So I have July 20th, I'll have 7 years of sobriety again. Yeah. So, I mean, I always think of it like this. I had almost 6. I have almost 7. I had 2.5. I've got a lot of years under my belt.
Yep.
Because nobody can take that away from me.
Right.
You know? So that's how it went. And I say to anybody who's struggling with alcohol or drugs or food or gambling or whatever addiction, you know, never give up stopping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something, I mean, I can relate to with my childhood. You know, that's something that my mom struggles with. And we don't have much of a relationship, and a lot of it stems from that. Well, for a couple of years now, we haven't had one at all. And then I've had my struggles with it too, and think that always makes me curious, because everyone's obviously different. But I seem to have found a place where you know, it's a lot more relaxed than it used to be. You know, it wasn't just like, well, if I'm gonna have one, I'm gonna have, you know, 10 or 15 beers or whatever, you know. So yeah, it was never like every night, but it was more like, if we're gonna rip off the Band-Aid, we're gonna go all the way type situation. And now that's changed a lot. So I think obviously everyone's a little different, but
no, I can relate to you as well. You know, especially being married to my husband, it's like, you know, I'm not drinking every day anymore like I was when I was single, right? I'm drinking only like special occasions. We had a lot of special occasions pop up in our lives every week mm-hmm. to make it, you know, acceptable to have, you know, to not one bottle of wine, but maybe 1.5 or 2, right? So,
yep. Well, and the Midwest is kind of draped with a little bit of that anyways, where every social event, you know, it's like a tradition to crack a beer or whatever. So
yes, very much so. It's weird because in California, actually, now that I think about it, people don't drink like they do in Michigan.
Mm-hmm. I think they have other things to keep them relaxed.
Yeah, maybe.
Stuff's legal there that's not legal here yet.
No, there are stuff. I'm afraid to even go that direction because I know my personality.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just kind of stay away from it. But it is legal, and you do smell it everywhere.
I bet. Oh, yeah. So I caught this part too when if we go to your website, JerilynStephens.com, that you kind of have a little like coaching bio too in there, sort of, and explain how you open yourself up to new worlds, launching into new ways of thinking and new ways of feeling. And I just kind of want to read some of this, but like it seems like it sums up a bit of who you are, but I'm curious what your passion and feelings are behind this. So you say, opening myself to new worlds, launching into new ways of thinking and new ways of feeling. I read, I watched, I listened, I grew, I manifested, I asked for help, I married, I had a son, I relapsed, I made mistakes, I got sober again, I took jobs I loved and jobs I hated, I built my portfolio, I got promoted, I lost and I gained, I found joy, I lived life on my terms, and I manifested my dreams. And so can you.
Yeah. That's just kind of sums up like the ups and downs, you know, mm-hmm. and then making the decisions, you know, to better my life.
I would like to print that out in a big, bold font and stick it on my wall, I think. That's extremely powerful because I know it's your story, mm-hmm. But it's a story so many people can relate to but you actually, I mean, there's so much, when they talk about positivity, which obviously what we're all about, people get so confused that is, oh, you can't just be positive all the time. And, they put a negative spin on it, of course, but we all know that's really not what we mean. You need to feel the feels, you got to feel the anger, sadness, frustration, all of them to understand and appreciate your true happiness and positivity. And it's like you kind of roll that all up into one snowball and bam, there it is.
Yeah. 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 And there's even more to add to that I need to figure out how to update that list.
No, it's just, so here's something that I run into sometimes when we talk about manifestation, whether someone is religious in a sense. How have you ran into where people go, well, I give it up to God and I'm religious, whereas in manifestation they feel like that could be a conflict to that. Have you ran across any of that?
Well, spirituality and manifestation, it's kind of like hand in hand, whether you want to call it that or not. And with, God, God, source, Buddha, whatever it is you want to believe in, universe, and manifestation is just, creating the life that you desire, right? And that's through prayer and meditation. And it's like, prayer is talking to God or universe or whatever belief you have. And, and then in meditation, we can receive the messages, and we're always manifesting, whether we know it or not, right? Because we'll bring it back to the positivity. That is when you're bringing more, when you're thinking and talking more positively, and you're thinking about, in the morning you wake up and you think of 3 to 10 gratitudes, whatever makes sense to you or you feel at that time. It's like bringing more positivity in your life is creating more goodness, more positive things in your life. And we all know those people that are the negative Nellies. Well, they constantly are bringing more negative things into their life because that's all they can focus on. And I think it's, for me, it was learned. I had to learn and train my mind to think positively. Don't you feel like you had to train yourself? I don't know about you, but I wasn't always a positive person. Because of my drinking.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, absolutely not. That was not my go-to was, I did retail for a long time, and somebody'd pull up with a nice new truck, or you'd drive by houses and you're like, oh geez, it must be nice to have all that money and just treat people like garbage and blah, blah, blah. And now that I've come on the other side, it's like, well, actually people are a lot more reactive than we realize. So if we come at them with happiness and positivity, I would say 9 out of 10 people generally react kind of how you're coming at them. So I'm sure I was coming at them with just a ball of negativity, and they were like, whatever with this little jerk, I just want to buy a washer and dryer. What's his problem, And I'm fabricating these problems. So as we've talked about in some other episodes, I'm kind of going through some online courses for positive psychology, and currently the one's called The Science of Happiness. So to me, I'm kind of a technical person, but I really want to learn what makes things tick, and science, being able to put science behind it makes me feel more confident to kind of help people, not having a 7-year, degree. But they say over and over again, positivity and optimism and happiness, it's a skill, and anybody can learn it. You might have a set range of, maybe your happiness level is a lot higher than some's naturally, and that's fantastic. So, you can still increase it. You probably won't have a lot of fluctuation, but those that are on the lower end, with practice and exercise, just like being overweight, you eventually are going to chip away at that, and that becomes your habitual mindset, is the skill that you've built with all these different positive exercises that are available.
Yeah, that's what science is saying.
Oh, hell yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
And
Because, yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry, and it's somewhere by you. It's in Berkeley, is where the class is through. So it's the Greater Good Science Center in Berkeley, and those guys know what's up.
Yeah, I did not realize that because, for me, it's like all energy and, message. I know this is going to get a little wackadoodle, but for some people, but like really, communicating with like through meditation and prayer through to like our spirit guides and asking for, messages and, even signs, specific signs, like a feather, like a crazy, like that. I did not realize that science was involved in any of that as well. My husband would like to know that then, because he sees me going, oh my God, did you see this feather? It's right there on our couch. Like, that's crazy, and it's stuff like that. And he's, being married to me for 14 years, he's like, I'm understanding. Okay. But yeah.
Well, I think it's like a great combination of, I try to do this, but I like to at times call myself maybe a modern hippie. Like, I realize I have to make money. I got to go and kind of, I hate this term, but whatever. I got to go out and play the game a little bit and kind of, do the community thing and, whatever. You kind of you got to work sometimes. But if you take the science, and what I mean by that is like the psychology of brain activity and group studies and, all these years, and they've really been hammering down on psychology, since maybe the late 1800s, but really in the like 1920s and 30s, when they would stop just shocking people's brains, they started to really realize, okay, if we put someone in this situation and we make them think of just things they're grateful for in their life instead of always thinking about what's going wrong, how will they feel? So I'm sure you're familiar with gratitude journals and gratitude letters and, stupid email. And then you'll get like, I don't know, there's so many different happiness practices, they call them, but does.
I was just going to say, I talk about in my book, like, writing, having a gratitude journal, manifestation journal. Like, you write down 3 gratitudes. You write down 3 goals in the present tense, like you've already have them. And then an affirmation, for yourself. It can change daily. And then at the end of the night, I always like to write down 3 amazing things that happened today. Right. One would be being with you right now on this podcast. And then one thing that I could have done differently. Right. It's kind of like, well, maybe I shouldn't have yelled at my child today, or maybe I shouldn't have reacted to that situation the way I did, and just taking accountability. So I believe in all of that stuff working.
Yeah, that's huge, because I don't think I've come across something yet anyways that talks about what is one thing I could have done differently. And I suppose you practice by still answering that to yourself in a positive fashion, because you don't want to judge yourself or make yourself feel bad that you screwed up, because that's kind of a negative kind of tone there. So,
I don't really think it's a screw up. It's just like taking accountability. I was kind of an asshole today.
It's that life's teachable moment.
Exactly. Because who's perfect? I mean, let's face it, right?
Right.
So I don't know. This is a fun conversation with you guys.
Well, that's what we try to just be a couple of Midwest yokels trying to spread positivity.
Yokels.
Well, I don't know. Is that a term?
That.
So, okay. So you also have on there a blog, which you've recently updated with something I want to approach very soon. But I also want people just to know a well-rounded version of you. But you obviously are a supreme hairstylist, if that's the correct term in a sense, but you have hair tutorials on your website too, and there's even a men's one. So I watched your son get fuller, thicker hair, which is something some of Midwest guys need around here. And yeah, so like that's super cool. How often are people hitting you up for advice?
Hair advice all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah, all the time. Go to a party, somebody finds out you're a hairstylist, and then it's like, okay, get ready for it. What products are they're gonna say, my hair is this. What kind of products do you think I should use? Do you think I should have a different haircut? What do you think about my color? And you know what? It doesn't bother me, because I mean, if I ran into a plastic surgeon, I might start asking him questions too.
Right?
Like, what do you think? How do you get rid of this crepey neck stuff?
And so you also will do, you have like a mastermind style class, like you do full on coaching with people too?
Yeah. Okay. So that I really got into through quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
I took an online course for coaching. I also have a coach who, just life coach, somebody that I work with, just to kind of like, just, keeps me on track, right? With, and so right then I took a course. I wanted to know more about coaching. And then through the summer and stuff, I started doing Zoom coaching. And then, with my manifestation, or with my 5 F words to manifesting your life, I did start a Facebook group that was for women only. And it was the last 90 days manifestation challenge, because I felt like we just needed something, because we had all been just so, I don't know about you guys, but I literally was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I mean, what's the next plan? Like, where am I headed? What am I doing? And then Hollywood started opening up again, and I started working again. So with me, I want you guys to know I'm kind of a lot of things, but it's like my main thing is I'm a Hollywood hairstylist. I department head these shows. That's my thing. I still inspire and want to encourage people to live their life, live their dreams, go after it. And then the coaching, group coaching, I haven't been doing lately, because after the first of the year, I got so busy with 2 shows. So I do a lot. And then the videos I just do when I can do. I'm one of those, I need somebody to manage me.
I get that.
Like, today we're doing a video. Here's your tools. Here's your model, stuff like that. It's hard. Social media is hard, you guys.
Oh, it is too. And I don't know, you're active on it, but I don't know how active you are on like a personal level. I noticed since we've started doing this, I've gotten to the point where I post a lot on our, multiple platforms, and then maybe I'll scroll for a bit, and it's a lot shorter, it's just, I don't get on there and scroll through stuff a whole lot as much as I used to. So it's kind of, it's not draining, because we try to believe that what you put in front of you, it kind of obviously makes who you are. So if you can find social media in a good way, go ahead. But
right. It's funny that you say that, because some people are like, I have to go off Facebook. I have to go off social media because it just is so negative all the time. And I'm thinking, I only feel like I get positive things in my feed. Maybe that's because that's the things I'm searching, and like my hashtags that I follow, like spirituality, manifestation, like these are things that come up through my feed, because the feed knows that I like that stuff, or the algorithm. Mm-hmm. Right. So I guess if people are clicking on, things that are negative and bad things that are happening, they're going to get more of that, because the algorithm thinks that they want that.
That definitely goes with where your attention goes, your energy flows. If Facebook is even, or social media, not just Facebook, I shouldn't just throw Zuckerberg under the bus here, but like it is. If that's like truly starting to like your phone is getting to know you and your habits, it's creating your own like black hole in a sense, if that's what you're clicking into.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, it's the easiest one to attack. So, politics, when there was all that stuff going on, and even some of the COVID stuff too, everyone had such strong opinions. And for the sake of argument, I don't really care who was right or wrong, but, it was just everything that maybe someone like us three try to practice on a daily basis, it just got thrown out the window, and it was everybody just straight up, being jerks to each other and calling terrible names and horrible things about their family and, your kids. And man, I saw some nasty, nasty stuff. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to quit reading this though. Because one, it's getting to be like a reality show dramatic experience, and I don't need that. And I don't want Facebook saying, oh, he read that for 5 minutes. Give him a bunch more of that stuff. So,
right.
So then I'd go to like a whole bunch of positive pages and try to like a bunch of stuff and share them and comment. And I was like, okay, I just fixed everything.
That's so funny.
I don't know if it helped, but
I believe it does.
I hope so. I just stayed away from it now. Thank God it's over for a while. I think that this might be a good time for us to, when we talk about social media, we had this interview planned previously, and then you, I guess we could say, thank God you came across something that probably has also changed your life in a different way now, but you were diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
Yes, I was. And that was because our first interview time was like, what was that? February?
I'm
or
sure.
something?
I can't quite remember.
I can't quite remember either. But I had The Voice. I started in the end of January, and I also had another show called Legendary on HBO Max. And so I was working like crazy mad woman. And during that time, I started not feeling right. Like but they were kind of menopausal symptoms to me. Bloated stomach, sort of distended stomach. I thought, oh my God, this is how because by the way, I'm 51. So I was thinking menopausal. I thought I was inheriting my grandmother's belly. She always looked a little 7 months pregnant. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get my life together with this, like lose some weight. And then, different symptoms that go along with that. Like, I don't even know if I can say that in here because you probably have met, I won't, but things started happening 60 to 90 days apart. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, and then I just really wasn't feeling right. And I said to my husband, I'm like, something's not right. Like something's wrong. And so then I woke up in the middle of the night and I could not go to the bathroom, like pee. And I was like, wait, this is so weird. And I started pushing on my bladder and I'm like, that is full. So I massaged my belly and then I was able to let that release. And it happened a few times and I went to the doctor. And here's what I want to say to people is you need to be your own advocate. You need to listen to your body. I actually had a migraine going on at that time as well and vertigo. Never had either one as like vertigo was brand new to me. And the migraines were kind of like, not really bad, but this one put me down. And I'm going to say it was my show that I was on that was so stressful. But the doctor was like, oh, you're UTI negative. Let's treat you for vertigo and your migraine. Here's some, prescriptions. And so there you go. And I was like, well, and I literally said to him, I go, you don't think I have a tumor or something? He's like, no. And I'm like, okay. And then I left and I felt so weird. Like, I was like, something's not right. And he was not my normal doctor. My normal doctor wasn't in that day. And so it happened 2 more times, and I got into my general, and she immediately was like, okay, you're negative UTI, lay down. Let me press on your abdomen. And the minute she did that, I was like, ow. And she's like, that's your ovary. And I was like, oh, ow. And she's like, that's your colon. She's like, let's get you some ultrasounds. So here's what I'm saying. Oh, and by the way, the minute she said ultrasounds, I never had a peeing issue after that. Okay. It was like my spirit guides or universe or God or whoever was like, oh no, girl, these are not menopausal symptoms. Here's what's going to get you to the doctor. And so it's just like, you have to listen to your body. I've had so many people say, I made doctor's appointments. And so what happened was I ended up having surgery on April 5th. And I had a cantaloupe. I can't even believe this. A cantaloupe size tumor on my ovary. And they ended up taking out my everything.
Wow.
Uterus, fallopian tubes, whole hysterectomy, and this cantaloupe sized tumor, which, I mean, that explains my belly a bit.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
We call it my tumor baby. We literally have a picture of it, and it has a butt. My husband, he was with me right before I went under, and I said to the doctor, I was like, do you think you could take a picture of it? My son and husband want to see a picture of it. And he's like, sure, no problem. But it was actually a very beautiful tumor because it was in one piece. I actually got my diagnosis was stage 1A ovarian cancer, which is called the silent killer. 80% of the women who get ovarian cancer don't catch it until stage 3 or 4. So I was one of the lucky, blessed ones that listened to my body, and like just kept on it, like something's not right. But truly, I started having late symptoms at the very end, which is feeling full quickly and going to the bathroom frequently are late symptoms. So like if you're feeling just bloated and all of a sudden I would just eat a little bit and I'm like, oh, I'm so full. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really working. I'll start to lose weight now. So it's just like, cancer plays tricks on you.
Definitely. And I think the more you talk about it, even though we have, guy listeners, it's okay to talk about these topics with male demographics so they understand. And then maybe they take their significant other serious when she talks about something. It's the more we can continue to educate those of the opposite gender, the more we can make a difference in all of our lives, really. Like I know growing up, we always did. It's like you shelter things from the guys. We don't want to talk about those things, or even sometimes from our little kids, But it is like the more we're open about that stuff with you, like, your son and all those things, it makes them a better human and a better partner and a better everything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you're right. And, God, it was, I think with men, well, first of all, women, let me just say this. Women, we work, we take care of the family, we take care of everyone else except for ourselves. We are completely secondary. So that's where women need to start being like, you know what? I need to make sure this person, it's kind of like the foundation to a house, and we're the foundation. If the foundation's crumbling, the house is going to crumble. So it's like, we need to take care of ourselves and really listen to our bodies. And like me telling my husband, like, I really feel like something's wrong. He kind of was just like, okay. I don't think we never want to see our other person have something wrong with them. Right. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. He came into true reality with that picture. He was like, I cannot even believe that was inside you. I said, I told you there was something wrong.
Well, you both touched on a couple of great things for me, because it was just recent as I was doing some of the courses last night. And one with what Catherine said is that I try to be and I use this term, but eventually we're going to throw it away, but a modern dad. And eventually I want it to just be a dad. This is how a dad of daughters is going to be. And if you have a son and a daughter, sons and daughters, you just go back and forth. But anyways, with our daughters, I ripped off the Band-Aid with periods and sex and everything. And I was like, all right, ladies, you're 13, this is happening, or this is going to happen or whatever. And I wanted them to, as they're in these formative years, know that, because that cliche is out there, you marry someone like your dad or you marry someone like your mom, whatever, how true that is, but at least find a man that is willing to, which I had difficulty with. I try to learn from my own mistakes in our early marriage, but marry a guy that'll go get you some tampons if you need them, or take you to the doctor and hold your hand when they're talking about, the things that we might think. Think of how many times you've heard, oh, that's nasty, I don't want to hear about that. Or, oh, they did what, or they checked what. And, it almost makes you skittish to, like she said, to talk about it with your spouse, if they're not into it. And, then too, like, this is something Catherine's gone through herself, but, if you're worrying about money or you're worrying about whatever in your life, just not going in and getting checked out when you should, or getting on a regiment. So that was one question it brought to my attention, was with what you've gone through. We know about mammograms, the pink ribbon, and that, that's so publicized, but ovarian cancer, I guess, and prostate cancer is always popular, but I can't tell you much about that. So is there advice that you've been told or of to get checked out, or when they should, or anything like that?
Yeah. The biggest mistake or is women think that by just getting their annual pap smears that's actually for cervical cancer. Okay. So there's no real way to check ovarian until you start getting these symptoms. Now, when you're in your physical exam or your annual exam, and I started thinking about this because I had my annual May last year, and I was like, gosh, when she was pushing down on my abdomen, did I feel like it could have maybe been achy and I didn't say anything? So, and I don't recall now, but I'm telling you right now, if you're getting an abdomen check and your doctor is pushing on your ovaries and colon and things like that, if it doesn't feel like it, if it literally does not hurt at all, but if it hurts a little, I would say something, because an ultrasound will find that. We'll find the ovarian cancer or a tumor or a cyst. Not everything is cancer, right? It can be a cyst. But I just say, if you feel like, oh, that should not hurt. Pushing down on an ovary should not hurt. And I don't recall if mine did or not, but please, 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 if it in the least bit, they can get you an ultrasound.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Don't be embarrassed. Just completely be open, be honest, be real with yourself as well as your physician.
And they can also do a blood test, which is a CA-125, is the blood test that is the ovaries cancer marker. And when they pulled mine was high. I was like, oh. But they're like, listen, it can also be a cyst. It's just an obstruction among your ovary, right? And I was like, okay, this is still benign. I went into that surgery thinking I had a benign cyst, and that's what it was going to be. Wow. And it wasn't.
So now
I'm going through chemo because it happened to be a called serous cancer, and it was 60% of that particular cancer, which is an aggressive cancer that attacks the abdomen. And so I took a genetic test. It came up I did not have that gene. We don't know why I got it. I ended up, so since it was so aggressive and apparently grew so fast, we're doing chemo. I'm doing an aggressive treatment every 3 weeks for 6 sessions. And I actually have my next session this Wednesday. and then I'll be halfway through and I lost all my hair. So I'm wearing wigs and I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why not, right? I mean, a hairstylist, I'm going to have fun with it. I had my son and my husband. We did it together. We shaved my head. It was just like, my hair was starting to like shed. And then it was kind of coming out in chunks, literally after the first treatment, like 2 weeks after the first treatment. And I just was like, you know what, this is taking too much energy, too much negative energy from me. Like this hair and it just wasn't making me feel good. So my friend called me, she goes, girl, shave it. She's like, do not give chemo the power. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes, girl. I'm doing it tomorrow. So we actually did, my husband and son. I have a video on YouTube for that too as well.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. They can go and watch that because it was cool. And then I saw your most recent post of the wig that you put on, I think it was for today, and that was pretty cool with a couple other photos.
The rainbow one?
Yeah.
Yes. I've been kind of doing normal colors, and then today I wore a rainbow, kind of rainbow. It's like purple and yellow. I like it.
Yeah, that's cool. I do like how, this is yet another example of how someone could approach that situation and you can be filled with negativity. And obviously someone who's never gone through cancer or themselves, you don't know how you'll react, but let that be another instance of you showing the world, being the change, if you will, that, you can approach this optimistically. And I know there's tough times, and I'm sure there's stuff behind closed doors, where you do break down or you do, have to confide in your friends or your husband and, all that
pretty
stuff.
Much cry in the beginning, cried every single day because my hormones, first of all, they took out all my girl stuff. So I'm a mess. And then on top of I will cry for gratitude. I will cry for sadness. I will cry because you brought me food. I will cry. I mean, I cry all the time. I cried today. I mean, it's just it's just tears of complete gratitude and being alive. I'm going to live, and all of this other stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I don't show up to work, for the next couple of weeks because I have a team. It doesn't matter. What matters is I'm taking care of myself now. And that's what everyone should be doing for themselves, is just be for now. And that's what I keep hearing is I need to just be and not focus on, because, as I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like, oh, what's the next thing I need to be doing? I need to be okay, maybe I should, start up, get back involved in my Facebook page, for manifestation and the women, and maybe I should do more videos and this and that. And it's you know what? All I can do right now is just post my wigs I'm wearing. And just be in the healing.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I have a marker board in front of me that's also, things that I do want to get done and accomplish with what we're doing. But there's a few phrases that I was looking at while you were talking. I just want to share. And one of them was emotionally blunt. And I think sometimes that's important that we do have to do that because there's a release that comes through us when we are emotionally blunt with someone we're close to. The other one was avoiding the traps of perfectionism, and that could be so many. That's a loaded one, but it could be social media, all sorts of stuff. And my most favorite one, which is what I think Catherine and I are slowly building our life upon, is to confront your own mortality. We don't have to make it morbid, but if you have a big decision or you have a life-changing decision, or, maybe it's just about buying something that's a little expensive, who knows, but if you look at it like I'm laying on my deathbed right now and I look back and I thought, wow, should I go see the Grand Canyon and take my kids? Would you say then? Well, then you probably should find a way to make it work. Don't get crazy, but let's make an actual plan to figure out how to do that, you know, and make that worth when I get to that point. That's what I think of, the positive things.
Yeah. I don't think there would be too many people on their deathbed saying, God, I wish I had worked more.
That's the number one thing, you know, that I've really focused on a lot lately too, is, you know, I worked retail and it was 60 hours a week and weekends and missing things with the kids and blah, blah, blah. But now on the other side of this, my job is not like that. It's very creative and they're very laid back and awesome people. But I've learned to, you know, like we went camping this last weekend and I took a couple days off, you know, to go. And I was like, before I would have been like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Do I have to get a phone call for this, an email for that? And even when my alert would go off for an email, it used to be a knock. And I would hear that knock and I would just about crap my pants. I was like, God damn it. What's happening now? You know, something.
Like the actual sound of a knock?
Yeah, it was like, you know, it was a little.
That needs to change right away.
Yeah. I thought it was cool at first, like, knock, knock, knock. I'm the boss, you know, and I was the manager of the store, and I was like, geez, nope. So that I learned that's not for me. But now when I get an email, a work one now, because I have 3 different ones on my phone now, I'm like, ooh, I wonder what that is. Could be a client wants me to write an ad for him or something. And I'm never, ever worried about that kind of stuff anymore. So, you know, never stop trying to find your place, I think, either.
That's like one of my favorite songs. It's like a permanent holiday because, you know, if you're finding a career that you love, every day is a holiday.
Yeah. Yeah. And we learned about the effects of flow. So I started saying, what if you could live your entire life in a sense of flow? Are you familiar with flow?
Like the flow like energy or flow? What do you mean?
Well, sort of. Okay, so this is one of those science of happiness things, and the psychologist coined the term flow. So the easiest way I explain it is when someone says, whoa, man, you messed with my flow. Well, if you're ever in a situation where you're working on a project, let's say, and all of a sudden 2 hours went by and like everything was clicking in that time, you weren't thinking about nothing, no anxiety, no issues, you knew how to do everything, answer your own questions in your head, boom, 2 hours went by, you did the project and you're like, damn, I was just flowing, that was fantastic. I
love that.
Yeah, so I think if you could, I mean, it's a little dramatic, but if you can live your life in a constant state of flow, not always second guessing yourself, not being anxious and insecure and dragging yourself down, kind of the whole thing we've been talking about this whole show, but trying to do it daily, bam, you're just all of a sudden, I mean, you don't want your life to fly by, but embracing and paying gratitude, like you talked about earlier, is how you slow that down and make sure at the end of the day you've gone, wow, today was really great, and I'm also excited for tomorrow. So all of a sudden you're not 70 and you're like, oh, geez, what happened?
Right. I like that. That's good. And one more thing that I think is too many people compare themselves to other people. Mm-hmm. And that is like, that's the worst, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, please don't compare yourself to other people because you're perfect just the way you are.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other people out there that do. So that could be one good way to use social media. If you're into things that other people aren't into, there are people that are. So surround yourself with the circle, as long as you're not hurting anybody and it's healthy, you know, and you're into something good, you can find those people that will support you with no judgment. And that's the beautiful part of being connected to someone who's in LA right now, or somebody who's, I mean, we've interviewed people all over the place now, and someone from Texas just the other day. And it's like, yeah, that's the good part of technology. It's all in how you use it. So, bam, here we are.
I have made so many friends through, honestly, through social media, through quarantine and this past year. It's like the love that I'm receiving now. It's amazing what happens when you get cancer. I think if you've been kind to people It pays to be kind, because I am getting so much love and support through my Instagram page, my Facebook. It's like, it's so incredible that if it's used in a proper way, the love and support you get when you need it is there.
Very, very well put. I could see that when you started to talk. You kind of told me about it through email, and then you started talking about it on social media, and it was an instant pour of people coming to you. And I think you get what you put out there, and obviously you've put so much of that out into the world that it's coming back to you when you need it the most.
Yeah, absolutely. It is incredible.
You're incredible, my friend.
You guys are incredible, Midwesterners.
Well, you betcha. We're trying.
My roots. People are always like, "You're not from LA," and I'm like, "Nope."
I know. I never think that I have an accent, but when we ever go anywhere like that's a couple states away, they're like, "Whoa, where are you guys from? Canada?" And it's like, "What? No."
No, they're like, say South Dakota again.
Yeah, we're a little further south. We're South Dakota, I always tell them. North Dakota, you get a little bit of the A and, oh, yeah, sure, you betcha. We don't do that a lot here. I do.
Maybe a little bit.
I do. Yeah, I do. On purpose. I like it. Well, Jerilynn Stephens, you're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Do you mind if we enter what we call the shameless plug zone?
Sure.
Okay. I don't have any sound effects or anything goofy, but I should probably come up with one. But I would like for you to take this moment to tell all of our listeners, and maybe within 20 years from now it'll be 100 million, but I want you to tell everyone how they can find you, follow you, contact you, be your friend, all that good stuff.
You can be my friend. Everybody can be my friend. You can find me really easy by on Instagram or Facebook, just by Hollywood Hairstylist. But everything is also underneath my name, which is Jerilynn Stephens, but it's spelled really weird. But Hollywood Hairstylist on Instagram, Hollywood Hairstylist on Facebook. And then I have a YouTube channel, which is Jerilynn Stephens. And my name's Jerilynn, and it's Stephens with a PH, Stephens. And if you just Google my name, all of that stuff will come up, plus LinkedIn, plus like whatever else there is out there.
YouTube.
Some old MySpace.
Yeah.
I don't have a MySpace anymore.
I wonder if that still operates. Otherwise, I feel bad for poor Tom that started out being everyone's first friend.
Oh my gosh!
Everyone abandoned him and went to the book.
I guess.
The Facebooks.
Yeah.
Poor Tom.
Yeah.
We let him down, and now look what's happened to us.
I'm sure he found something else.
Yeah, definitely. Probably sold it to somebody and got out before it got bad.
Exactly.
Okay, well, this was an extreme blessing. I'm glad we were finally able to connect. A huge shout out again to Kat Perkins for being a guiding light.
Kat. Thank you.
I clap too. So I hope that, I don't know if you're ever coming this way, but if we get to LA, I'm totally going to hit you up, and I want to try on a crazy wig, and then we're going to make an experience out of it. But great.
What city are you in, or town?
We're technically in Castlewood, but it's by Watertown, if you're familiar, or an hour and a half south of Sioux Falls.
North.
God, every time.
So we're like 3.5
in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Well, I've been to Sturgis.
Okay. Do you know where Sioux Falls is?
I've seen it on the map.
Okay. So Sturgis is what we would call West River. So it's on the other end of the state. So if you drive about 6.5 hours, you'll hit us. So we're almost
way up there.
Yeah, as a crow flies, we're almost straight across from there in Watertown. About 20,000 people. Castlewood's got about 700 people. And
wow.
Yeah, we're closer.
Such beautiful states.
It is. We are closer to Minneapolis, Minnesota than we are to Sturgis. We're only about 3.5 hours away from Minneapolis.
yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so when this stuff is completely back to normal, well, we're going to see Zane Lamprey at a brewery, so hopefully we can hit up with Kat Perkins and give her a high five and a hug in person, because I don't think we've ever been able to even do that, and Catherine's never met her. So
Nope. Just talk to her.
Yeah, you guys have like the best of both worlds there. You've got, the beautiful, nature setting, and then you have Minneapolis.
Yeah. Yep. Everything's within reach of what we need.
Yep, exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerilynn. It was great to meet you.
yeah, please stay in touch and on your journey and anything else. And if you ever have anything that pops up, hit us up, and we'd love to do a follow-up with you, because this was an amazing little interview.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Thank you, and
right.
have a great rest of your night.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
You didn't want to let her go, did you?
Well, there's a part of me there that all of our interviews have been uniquely amazing in their own right. But yeah, when you get something like that where all cylinders seem to be firing in a sense, and she's obviously somebody I could let the Steve Jerens out on, and get awkward and goofy and funny, and we both have, I don't use it often, but the same favorite word, almost one of my favorite words.
Are you telling me that you don't get awkward and goofy with most people? Because if that's not the real Steve Jerens, what is the real Steve Jerens?
Well, yeah, I do, but there's a little bit of reservation on the show sometimes. Is this a show?
So you're talking about just on the show versus like in life in general?
Well, don't act like I'm not reserved sometimes around people. There's certain people I don't just let her buck. You get a little bit more reserved, and I'm just saying we just all naturally clicked. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Holy smokes. So, anyways, episode 77, Jerilynn Stephens, JerilynStephens.com, Hollywood hairstylist.
Wowzer.
The Voice, Shark Tank, self-image coach, author of The 5 F Words, on Amazon, October 29th, 2019. 42 reviews. Everything is 5-star. Up in her. Blog, hair tutorials. That resume. If somebody will record themselves saying that resume, I will send you a hat for free. And you have to email it to me at positivelymidwest@gmail.com. I guess now she'll hear this, but whatever. And I'm going to send it to her. That would be super cool if we could have it be a thing, people just send it to us over years, and I'll just have to keep sending them hats.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the funniest thing ever. It's cool. So check her out on Facebook. She's in our group as well. And, just great. Thanks, Kat Perkins. Appreciate you. So, as always, thank you all for supporting us. Thank you all for scooping up our merch when we drop little pre-order things like that. And I don't think we could do it without the feedback and the affirmation. So, we could, but it just makes it more real. Yeah,
it wouldn't be the same without knowing that people actually liked it.
Yeah, and the listenership just continues to grow little by little, and please share this stuff with all of your friends, because that's where we really go. If you want to do the old listener support thing, you can always go to our page and donate if you'd like as well. So I've got one of my first ideas on the top of my board I want to get to very soon, and we're going to need a couple dollars to do that. And we're just going to cruise around and do some things that I can't tell you right now. But it's the very first one asterisk up there. So,
got it.
Feel good about life?
I do. Really good.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
I'm stalling while I pull up this page.
I can tell.
Now I have done it.
Okay.
Welcome to radio. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Woo! Oh, yeah. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for listening to the Positively Midwest podcast. Our hope is to inspire, engage each other's thoughts, and leave you with some great advice. Be sure to join our Facebook group and follow us on Instagram at Positively Midwest Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, share, and screenshot our podcast with all your cool friends. Every little bit helps. We're on most all major platforms, and you can stream it on our website at positivelymidwest.com. Also, check out our merch in the online store. All proceeds go to help those in need find therapy or rehab. Please reach out to us at positively.midwest@gmail.com. If you'd like, we can help you with therapy or rehab. And please remember, always, please always, stay positive.